Today we're looking at Diamine Apple Glory. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, Diamine Apple Glory is a green ink. Before we get to the writing samples, let's look at the sciencey bits. Up first is the chromatography, and I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatography over the years. We see the one on the left, that this ink flees the water. All of it moves entirely, all the way up the page, all the way up the strip. We get a very, very dark line right across the top. I think my hand's kind of in the way. Right across the top, we get a very dark line. Now, the one on the right is let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into the water. And there is no change. There is no stay behind for this ink. It's gone. It flees, it's light green, a very dark green line across the top. Resistance tests are done to see how it can be expected to hold up on paper and how hard it is to clean out of a pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, we see that it is definitely coming alive and moving a whole lot, especially at the H. So you have to be very careful. You would need to use some highlighter that's sort of dry going down if you can find a dry highlighter. It sounds so weird to say. Water is picking it up and moving it off. It actually completely moved it off the page. We don't see any of it left behind. Where you see that little arc right at the water, at the H2O, that's where it went away. Pen Flush did the same thing, completely gone. Now, these are good things. They clean easily. Bleach did something interesting. Bleach gave us this blue area. It took the ink off the page, but it left this blue behind, which is really interesting to see. It was an unexpected based on I didn't see blues in the chromatography. This bell curve is for a normal distribution. For the 365 inks tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5. Keep in mind that normal is 2.1 to 2.9. Diamine's Apple Glory has a viscosity of 1.5, super wet. Into that red, chasing down the water line. It doesn't matter what pen you use, it's coming out. But a wet pen's going to put a lot more, and you're going to lose some of those features where a dry pen is going to highlight them. Now, this bell curve is for the average dry time. For the 365 inks I've tested, I've found an average dry time of 17 seconds. And normal is the range from 13 to 21 seconds. Diamine's Apple Glory has an average dry time of 14 seconds, which is normal. It's on the faster side of normal, but it is normal for its dry time. To find the average dry time, I take my writing samples and I average the extra fine and medium nib done on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. Let's take a look at the writing sample. I got this ink in sample form. And to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub. I use a Jinhao X450 with a medium nib and a Jinhao X750 with an extra fine nib. Looking first at Clairefontaine. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. Looking at the 1.1 stub at the top, we're getting no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. We do get some color variation. Very nice, shows up in the Glory. Extra fine. No feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. Nice color variation that occurs. Now, this is a wetter extra fine. I've found that when you use a drier pen, you get a lot more of that color variation that occurs. 8 seconds to dry. On a medium, gets a little bit darker of a green. No feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. Still great color variation throughout the whole writing. 14 seconds to dry, so not unmanageable in either case. And when we look at the scrubby, we definitely see that we expect color variation in this ink. Smear, I don't know if you're going to be able to recover that. I wouldn't, and that's just because it's a lighter green. Moving on to Tomoe River. No bleed. Definite ghosting, it's Tomoe River. In the 1.1 stub, we have no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. Great color variation that occurs, which does not always happen on Tomoe River paper. We get it in the 1.1 stub. Looking at the extra fine, we have no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. Not as much color variation as we got in that 1.1. We are losing some of it because it's such a thin line. So there's something to keep in mind there. This is me having a shaky hand that day. That is not feathering. 15 seconds to dry on Tomoe River. Medium gets a little bit darker. We have no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. Definitely do get some of the color variation back, not a ton of the color variation back. So when I look at these three, that 1.1 definitely gave me the color variation, not so much with the extra fine or medium. When we look at the scrubby, not a lot of color variation in the scrubby of the extra fine or medium. And on the smear, Tomoe River, lost. Rhodia paper. No bleeding, no ghosting. In the 1.1, we have no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. We do get color variation. Extra fine, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. Some decent color variation. Not the best in the world. Again, it's a wetter extra fine here, where if it's drier, like I'm using a Singularity to take my notes for this, and my color variation in my notes are much nicer. 10 seconds to dry. Medium, no feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen. Some color variation, not a ton. I can live with what I get for color variation. On the extra fine and the medium scrubby, we do see some of the color variation, but it's not the biggest jump in shade that we can expect. On the smear, I don't know that we get to recover this. So next I wind up looking at the yellow, because it's a green and it's nice to see what happens. So looking at the yellow rhodia, we have no bleeding, no ghosting. On the 1.1, we still have no feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen. The green makes a little bit of a change, which you expect for having that yellow background of the paper. I think the green of the Apple Glory looked much better on yellow paper than it did on the white. It really makes that green pop off the page. On the extra fine, no feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen. More color variation, again, as a result of that yellow paper in the background. So that's nice. Definitely use this with yellow over white paper. 10 seconds to dry. Same as before. Still rhodia paper. On the medium, yellow paper. No feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen. Color variation definitely occurs. Look at the. Look at quick. Totally different things. Look at Fox. Look at the difference of them. It's like an entirely different thing. Same pen, same ink, same manufacturer, entirely different. So this makes a huge difference. That yellow paper does it. Still 15 seconds to dry. When we look at the scrubby, we get more color variation. It doesn't show as heavy as it did in the writing. The smear, still not salvageable. It's gone. Black and red paper, no bleed, no ghosting. In the 1.1, we have no feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen. We get some decent color variation that's happening, some nice shading. Onto the extra fine. No feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen, no color variation. None. It's lost. It's a nice light green. It's like a Granny Smith green. 5 seconds to dry. Medium gets darker. Gets darker than it was with the extra fine. No feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen. No feather, no spread, no halo, and no sheen. We get in color variation. Color variation did come back here. Look at that in the Lazy. Look at it in the Fox. The bottom of Quick. So definitely using a wetter pen lets it have a little longer to dry. Lets it set up in different layers. 9 seconds to dry. So much better with a wetter pen. Or I find the Singularity, where they're very dry pens, is giving me nice color variation. And that's because it gets to dry very quickly and you put another layer down on top of it. The scrubby shows very little color variation. There is some in the extra fine. It's hard to get. It took a lot of ink. On the medium, it doesn't show as much, but it shows more in the writing. And on the smear, this ink in smear does not seem to want to be able to be recoverable. It's like it's just lost forever if you smear it. So that's what I have for the writing sample. Instead of finding inks that look like Diamine's Apple Glory, I would prefer to find an ink that looks nice on the page to complement that light green that it's giving. I've chosen a nice orange-brown Diamine's Autumn Oak because of its orangey brown color. To get a range of experience with this ink, what I do is I do my writing samples, I put the ink into a different pen for a day. I then put it into, today, a Nemosine Singularity, a very dry, fine pen to take my notes for this video. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I'm asking if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. So what do I think of Diamine's Apple Glory? I think in dry pens it is fantastic. As a green, it can be unmatched in dry pens. It's gorgeous. But once you put it into a broader, wetter pen, it loses a lot of that interest to me and it becomes just a green. So now the big question, would I buy a bottle of this ink? Now green inks are not normally my thing and I do enjoy dry pens quite a bit. So yes, I would. Thanks for watching.